You live.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by X Insurance. X Insurance. From the Sig Sauer Studios. On the Patriot Mobile Platinum Microphone. Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Monday after a Sunday, and Easter Sunday. It is Easter Monday. Welcome into the 6 Hour Studios with me, Mark Walters, filling your prescription for freedom today and every day on the Monday through Friday broadcast here in front of the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. It's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance here at the Ranch. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not too bad. Here we are, Monday.
That came quick, didn't it?
It always shows up quick.
It always does. Well, we have Andy Hoosier joining us today. We'll go to Andy in just a second. But, Greg, if you would be kind enough to tell people where to watch the program on social media and all that fun stuff, participate in the chat, we will get cracking with Andy.
Sure, briefly, if you want to watch the show, just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over on YouTube and Rumble. On X, it's at AAR Mark. And if you want to join our live chat, just download the Telegram messaging app, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, and that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to watch us on Facebook, that will be back up tomorrow for you. That'll be back up for you tomorrow because of the issues that we had. No big deal. We got that figured out. We'll have it back up for you mañana. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Welcome in, my brother from another mother. KQAM, Wichita's
What's
Big
up,
Talker,
man?
Wichita's favorite son. How are you?
Heck yeah, man. Happy Monday. Ready to rock and roll for another one. It is another day in paradise, and happy post-Easter.
Happy post-Easter. How was your Easter? Did you have a good Easter weekend with your family?
Yeah, it was great.
Good.
I actually took a day off on Friday, which was nice. Still did the live show on Saturday, but I took a day off on Friday. We took the kiddo down to see the new King of Kings cartoon movie, which if people have not seen that, it's a fun one. I mean, it's essentially a child's animated version of the Passion of the Christ, so relatively relevant for the holiday and for the season. But went and saw that, and then yesterday I was dead exhausted because trying to take a single day off of radio
Very difficult.
is 3 times the work to try and prepare for a single day off than it is to just not take a day off. But so Sunday I was dead exhausted. Yesterday we watched 3 movies at home and did absolutely nothing. And then I feel really bad because it was raining the entire time, so I couldn't do it. But apparently the wife texted me just a little bit ago and said the neighbor mowed my front yard for me because it was
nice.
bad. But it's been raining for 4 days straight, so I haven't been able to. And now that it's sunny, I was going to wait for it to dry,
Hold
and then
on
he
a
just
second.
does it for
Hold
me.
Greg,
Yeah.
the neighbor didn't mow his lawn because he was being nice to him. The neighbor mowed his lawn for his own property value's sake.
Probably.
Is that what occurred?
Yeah.
Look, that lawn needs a
Probably.
haircut.
It
That
was
kid's not
looking a
mowing
little
his grass.
wild. Yeah,
Oh,
it
that's
was looking
funny.
A little wild.
That's funny. That reminds me
Yeah.
when my daughter was little, she was watching our neighbor in Florida cut the grass next door. She said, "Woot, Daddy, a mow grasser. Woot, Daddy, a mow grasser." I'll never forget that. So, Andy, we have some interesting stuff going down today. And I'm going to start with this, but I guess I should start with the Fourth Circuit Maryland assault weapon ban case. No, I don't want to go. Let me start with this first one first because this is better news. Not that there's bad news with the Fourth Circuit yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'll go there in just a moment. We've been following that one for quite some time. But there's a case called Jacobson v. Worth. SCOTUS denies cert in Worth, which is an SAF win, meaning the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals decision stands. Let me explain what this is. In a case, and I'll quote from the Second Amendment Foundation press release today, Andy, in a case that could potentially have far-reaching implications for similar lawsuits across the nation, the U.S. Supreme Court has denied Minnesota's petition for writ of cert in Jacobson v. Worth. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the SAF's challenge to the 18 to 20-year-old carry ban in the state. Minnesota had asked the Supreme Court to take the case, meaning grant it cert, after the SAF was granted an injunction at the District Court, and the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed that injunction, meaning, nope, you can't enforce it. Nope, you want to fight it, go higher. So they did. They sought cert at the court. Supreme Court denied it. The High Court's refusal to hear the case, quoting, means the Eighth Circuit's ruling stands as a final judgment confirming SAF's win. And here's from Bill Sack. This is from Second Amendment Foundation, who is the Director of Legal Operations. We are encouraged with today's ruling that the Supreme Court was happy to let the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals decision that 18 to 20-year-olds are part of the people who have the right to carry a handgun for self-defense stand. This ruling will have reverberations nationwide, where SAF is involved in multiple similar suits seeking to restore the rights of young adults who face similarly unconstitutional laws in their home states. Now, see Florida for that one too, guys, all right? This is from Alan Gottlieb. Today's cert denial confirms what we've said all along. The Second Amendment is not limited to those 21 years old and above. We are cautiously optimistic the denial will have a positive impact in SAF's challenges to similar bans in other states. Our goal is to remove any impediments for adults, no matter their age, to exercise their Second Amendment rights wherever they live. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want more information on this or any other SAF case, you can visit saf.org on your own and check it out. They're all listed in a really nice little neat menu drop down up there for you, and you can read them all and the cases. Andy, your thoughts on this? This is interesting. Go for it.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, you've been talking about it for a while with the Supreme Court, with these other courts around the nation right now, where they're holding off and not making certain decisions on Second Amendment issues. This is, I guess, another one of those. But I mean, the battle continues, man, and especially at the statewide levels. Now, this is where the battle is being taken to, because eventually, could it get to another Supreme Court decision, possibly with more Second Amendment issues? But at the same time, we're winning across the board on statewide levels right now. The Democrats, for whatever reason, have tried to bring their cases down to a grassroots level, which they've been horrible at over the past, decade or so.
Yeah.
And they haven't done well. So we're doing well. I say that, we just keep on this battle, but the fact that we're winning at local levels shows that they're having a harder time implementing these types of gun regulations that they want to do. So, I say bring it on.
But here's the question, and I want to be honest. We are honest on this program. The other side views a cert denial as a court victory, okay?
Right.
And we have to be very careful here. We're going to be honest here. This is not a court victory, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Supreme Court saying, no, we're not taking the case up. It is not a ruling on the merits of the case. I want to be very clear on that. That's what we say to the anti-gunners all the time. They go out and parade it as a huge victory, right? Is it really a victory?
Of course.
Well, it is now, because the ruling denying the injunction and joining stands. 18 to 20-year-olds can carry in Minnesota. Now, a Supreme Court victory on the merits of the case would make that the law of the land. Now, that's not to say that the Supreme Court can't take another case. Maybe they didn't like this case for whatever reason, decided not to take it for whatever reason. We don't know. They don't tell us. Yet another one from another circuit pops up, and guess what happens? The court takes it. The court could rule against it on the merits in a future case. I want to make that point. So, Andy, is it really a victory? Yeah, it's a victory we'll take right now. It's a victory for those in Minnesota, 18 to 20 years old, who the Supreme Court, just without any wording whatsoever, left it stand that they can now carry their firearms. But it doesn't hold true for Wisconsin, or it doesn't hold true for the Dakotas. Or it doesn't hold true for any other
you're
state,
right. And you're right. I mean, with the cert issue with the Supreme Court, there's always that technicality, something they don't like about it, whatever. Okay. But yeah, it is. Look, we'll take the small win when we can. And does it need to be bigger? Do we need to make sure that this stays, like you said, for the state of Wisconsin? Of course we do. So the battle continues on. And cert isn't technically a win just because the Supreme Court won't hear it one way or the other, which is why the other side kind of parades it around. But at the same time, we're still winning, and we're winning at these local levels. And I mean, when we look at the law, even with the crazy corrupt judicial system that we have, that the Biden administration openly said they tried to stack courts around the nation to try and fight against the Trump administration and fight against our agenda in Project 2025 or whatever the hell they call it. But yeah, I mean, we're still winning these issues, and our rights are undeniable. So could it go higher? Should it go higher? Yeah, it should. And could it potentially in the future? Yes. But we'll take the wins that we have right now, and we're seeing those all over the country.
So I'll take this as a victory for now. Minnesota, clearly a victory. Minnesota gun owners, you guys got it going on. Congratulations in the great state of Minnesota. We want to see the same thing in the other 49 states. But again, I'm just being fair, because we rag the other side all the time. So I want to be fair here, okay? This is not a ruling on the merits of the case. It's a
we
denial
want a battle,
of cert.
not a war.
Correct. We won this battle in Minnesota. Again, I question, did we win the battle? The Supreme Court just says, nope, no battle at this fort. They just called the battle. We were up when the battle was called. How's that? Is that a fair assessment, Andy?
We won the skirmish. How about that?
We won the skirmish. A judge came in and said, okay, a judge stopped the fight is what happened. Okay,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, a judge, or we'll call it a referee. A referee stopped the fight. There's the metaphor right there. When we come back from the break, we're going to switch gears and go to the Maryland Fourth Circuit case and talk a little bit more about that. What happened there? Well, the music will start in a second. Then I'll say when it starts, you're going to have to hear it on the other side because I don't want to give it away now. But I'll try. I can't keep it in. The case was punted again to another conference again later this week. I think this makes 14 or 15 conferences in a row. And the court still has not decided whether to deny cert or grant cert in this case. We'll talk about it with Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, when we come back here on Armed American Radio's Daily Defense. We'll be back with Andy Hoosier, KQAM, Wichita's Big Talker, Wichita's favorite son, right after this.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, you can do that. patriotmobile.com/AAR, patriotmobile.com/AAR. And when you do that, activate a line over there, like I've got a couple lines over here, and you can have a Patriot Mobile phone activated as well. And when you do that, you get a free month's activation. Ladies and gentlemen, please support our partners. They make this show possible every single day. Next weekend marks our 16th year on the Sunday National Monster Cast. And last night, we came close. It was Easter weekend. We did a live hour for the first hour. The previous two were encores. We gave everybody Easter Sunday off. Scheduling was kind of tough, so we ran a couple of encores for you. But we sat in with Ryan Petty last night, analyzed a few things from over the week, and gave you an hour of live radio on Easter Sunday. It was a beautiful thing. Welcome back in. You can find all of our partners, by the way, at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. Welcome back to the 6 Hour Studios. Patriot Mobile Mike, Mark Walter, sitting in front of that mic. It's all brought to you by X Insurance. Andy Hoosier, welcome back, brother.
Yes, indeed.
So let's go to that Fourth Circuit case. Watch with bated breath this morning again. And at 10 o'clock when the orders come out, no Snopes case again. Checked with Mr. Gottlieb. Yep, nope, not again. Moved to the next conference, which is this coming Friday. This has been an ongoing process, and the frustration begins to mount. The tension in the air is palpable. What are they doing with this case? Why won't they give us an answer? At this point, deny it, grant it, tell us what's going on. If there's a denial, I guarantee we're going to see some type of written dissent. And it will be a hot one, because if there is a denial, it will likely be a dissent written by Thomas, and it will be on fire, no question about it. If it's granted, it's game on. Andy, any ideas whatsoever as to what they are holding on for here with a case that checks all the boxes?
Yeah, it's a great question. Look, they're about ready to wrap up the session again in June. They do, and that's become a spectator sport now, where they just do a massive dump with all the decisions that they've been making. Now they just took the case, or at least did the pause on deportations for the Trump administration. So they've been hard at work on doing something, whether it's the right or wrong thing. They've been doing something. So why they haven't taken the case is a really great question. Maybe their hands are full. Maybe the Second Amendment issues just aren't their priority. Maybe they're waiting politically. I mean, look, as much as we don't like to say that the courts are political or politically charged in some fashion, maybe they're waiting for some type of political something to happen to where, that's the flavor of the day, and that's when they're going to take it up and make a big deal out of it. I don't really know.
Yeah, none of us do. It's fun to speculate. Last night I was analyzing this with Ryan Petty, and I kind of concocted a little theory. I looked it over again today, and I'm going to kind of stick with this a little bit. Alito wrote a scathing dissent in the Supreme Court's agreeing to halt the deportations. Are you aware of that?
I was not aware of that, no.
He did, and he said in that dissent, basically, I went right to the Fox News, just the headline. We did a little bit of headline surfing on there. And the headline surfing was, "This court has not given the lower courts an opportunity to rule yet." SCOTUS likes to take cases where the lower courts have had issues, right? Makes sense. It's the Supreme Court. Yet they went ahead and issued this ruling. Alito said it was weak law at best, essentially. So I got to thinking about applying that logic to this case here. The lower courts, the Supreme Court has made it very clear that they want to see how the lower courts are ruling in their post-Bruin decision-making process. Well, in this case, they see it with this case. It went back. It was already granted, vacated, and remanded back to the lower court. The lower court eventually got around to it, the lower court being the entire Fourth Circuit, and upheld Maryland's gun ban as constitutional, making it ripe for the Supreme Court post-Bruin to immediately take the case, which they did not. Keeping Alito's statements in mind, let's go to Friday's decision by the First Circuit in Boston that upheld Massachusetts' assault weapons ban and magazine capacity ban as constitutional, Andy. So the Supreme Court has lower court rulings here. Now, could that be the timing where the court said, let's wait and see what happens with the First Circuit? Now we know. My theory is that we might have seen something happen today. I got to thinking about that a little bit more, overnight and this morning. I don't think they had enough time from the time the First Circuit decision came down in Massachusetts. However, they have now. which might make this upcoming conference an end-all be-all relative to this Fourth Circuit case. If you put all of that together, I think you can concoct a little theory with all those ingredients in the pot on the stove, right?
I would think so. I mean, that's good as guess as anybody else's right now. I don't really know. You're right. I mean, they have the rulings down there. Maybe I don't know. I don't know, Mark. I mean, that's it's hard to gauge what the Supreme Court's doing unless they don't want to rock the boat on too many issues at one time, because they want to take it little by little with how quickly and how drastic the Trump administration's been going, that they're waiting, and they have some major announcements they need to make on other issues. And, I don't know, but you would think that if it's an important issue like that, and if it fits the perfect scenario here, all the stars have aligned for them to take this up and make a major ruling on it.
Which this does.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like it is. Then you would think that they would take it up and make this decision, but they're running out of time to do it, at least for this year.
Yeah, this might be something they just take all the way to the wire. I mean, it could just go all the way to the wire. But would that make it a political decision to do that?
Well, yeah, I think it would be. I mean, It's going to sound like it's going to be a rush decision. And while they may have their schedule full with hearings and with different cases, I get it. But yeah, I mean, end of May, beginning of June is when they end up wrapping up and they make all these decisions. So
well, they won't get this
down
case
to the wire.
Yeah, this case won't be heard in this session. So we're looking at next year or the year after at best. It's not looking good for right now. However, the fact that it's still alive and kicking, to me, is a positive thing. At this point,
well, yeah, I mean,
I'm a firm believer that it's going to continue, that they're going to grant cert. I just am.
I would think so as well. I mean, if they're hanging on to it for this long and they're pondering it, they're waiting for the right time, they're waiting for the political motivation, they're waiting to see if someone drops off the court. Who knows what they're doing? Because again, there is a lot of politics that go into the court system, unlike what we normally anticipate. So yeah, they could be waiting for the prime opportunity. Like you said, the fact they haven't dropped this and let it go is a good sign, because normally, especially if they hold on to a case for this long, they would say, well, it's not worth our time. We're just going to let the lower courts, hang on to it and make their decision final and just do whatever. And the fact that they haven't done that, it's still maybe in the back of their mind. They're just waiting for that prime opportunity.
Well, this is the most popular rifle in America. So ask yourself this very basic question. When the court has already said that guns that are in common use cannot be banned, do you really believe the court would take this case and then ban those common guns, the most common rifle in America? Do you really think that would happen? I do not.
Yeah.
Now, that's very simplistic, but it's also right. And I've had attorneys tell me recently, it's not always about right. It's about the law.
30.
So when we come to the Supreme Court, who essentially is going to make law in this case, well, we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, it's that simple. We're getting ready to take another break. We wait it out, but I am of the mindset that as we push this out just a little bit further and a little bit further, as we get close to the end, I think the court takes this case.
Well,
then they go off and they do what they do.
When they actually accept it.
Well, once they accept the case, then it will go on the docket and we'll find out all that fun stuff there. But I think the court takes this case, and when they do take the case, we win the case hands down, because they are in common use. And you can look at Bruen, you can look at Heller, you can look at McDonald, you can see the trajectory to where this thing appears to be going. But you know what? You really just never know.
Pressure.
You really never know for sure until it's a done deal. When we come back, can you shoot down a drone that's bugging you in your backyard? We'll talk about it when we come back.
Daniel Defense firearms are guaranteed for life, trusted worldwide, and designed, engineered, and manufactured right here in America. Daniel Defense, freedom, passion, precision.
Yeah, Daniel Defense is freedom, passion, and precision. Make sure to check them out, DanielDefense.com. Braced pistols are back. Do you get Daniel Defense's email? I do. I've been asking you to sign up for that for a long time. If you do, you got the email today. If you get the Daniel Defense emails, it said their braced pistols are back. So that's cool. Now, I have not gone into that yet. I got that this afternoon. I'll read up on that when we get off the air because that's what I do. I kind of chew on those emails later in the day. They're fun to get. Really cool stuff over there at Daniel Defense. You can do the same thing. DanielDefense.com. Get on their email list and see all the fun stuff going on over there. We'll be talking with Daniel Defense at the NRA convention coming up this weekend. Also, BudsGunshop.com. I'll be meeting with those folks, BudsGunshop.com. I'll be heading over there, picking up some fun stuff today online. Greg, ask me what I'm getting at Bud's Gun Shop online today.
Mark, what are you getting at Bun's Gun Shop?
I don't know yet. I just know that I want to go there and buy something. Isn't that the best way to buy things?
It's the best way to head into shopping.
Kind of spontaneous. Just go and see, because I'm getting the itch. I'm like, ooh, I want something different.
Yep, there you go.
So I'm going to go find something different. You can do the same thing, budsgunshop.com. I'll tell you what I'm not going to get there today, though, and that's ammo, because I'm getting ammo from ammosquared.com. And you can do the same thing, ammosquared.com, ammosquared.com. But Buds has you covered for whatever you need. Make sure to check out all of our great partners, barrelbuddy.com as well, barrelbuddy.com. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Should you be able to shoot down a drone? Let's a drone. So let's say that you're sitting in your backyard. You chuckle on this because this is a fun conversation. You are sitting in your backyard. Let's just assume you got a pool. Let's say your daughter is out there with some friends and they're sunbathing, and there's a drone hovering over your house. And it's been hovering for a while, and your daughter brings it to your attention, says, Dad, what's up with this? You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who's controlling it. You know it can't be too far away, right? But what do you do?
Well, yeah, I mean, I shoot the thing down.
Now, you could be violating all kinds of laws by doing that. Could find your ass in prison. Now, my next question would be, I should have said, what do you want to do first, which is to shoot it down, right? Put a big shotgun round up into that thing. It'd be fun with a slug. Watch that thing just dissipate. It'd be fun with anything. But do you take it down? You feel like you want to take it down, right? So check this out in Florida today. This is interesting. Bearing Arms is covering this. Cam wrote it up today. By the way, I've been invited on Cam and Company tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, so look for us over there tomorrow at townhall.com. Florida bill allows homeowners to use reasonable force against unwanted drones. Andy, it does not specify what that reasonable force is. Well, I don't know. How else do you reach out and touch a drone without a projectile of some sort, Andy?
It's a great point. Unless, if you remember, do you remember the TV show Junkyard Wars, where they would build things out of,
yes.
and then they would race and they would fight? That was one of the greatest shows. I say that we have our own drone and we attach a chainsaw to it, since you can apparently do that to firearms as well. And then you you go up there and you have your own drone destroy that, and therefore you can keep it out of your airwaves, because this is my territory. No, look, I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, look, I like the fact that I guess that's kind of vague on what reasonable response may be in protecting yourself from a drone. But look, I don't really care. I know that you could potentially get in trouble during the massive drone thing that was hovering over like New York and New Jersey a few months back, and all those big ones. I was telling people, which apparently I was told I can't be telling them to shoot them down. But look, if you're over the airwaves, I know we technically don't own the airwaves around us and above us for whatever reason, but yeah, if you have a drone that is peering through your window, that is looking at your family, that is watching you poolside, that is over your personal space, then to me, that is a massive violation of my privacy, and I'm going to end that violation of privacy, and I'm going to do whatever that takes,
so
whether it's swatting whatever it takes, and if I can't reach it with my punches, then I will punch it in another way. So, yeah, I mean, I think that we should and do have the right to do that. The fact that we're even having a conversation like this, Mark, is just so bizarre to me.
It is bizarre, isn't it?
We've given up so much rights of privacy that we just don't care who's spying on us. And I don't just mean by drones. I mean by having the government access your email account, having social media collect your data on your social media. If you remember back in the early 2000s after the Patriot Act, the collection of metadata for the FISA courts,
yeah.
we have become so accustomed. We
Wait.
just don't care that we are surveilled all the time with every aspect of our life.
Isn't a drone hovering over your property, wouldn't that be considered stalking? Or
I
would it
would
be if
assume
it were
so.
more than once? Or maybe the length of time that it's there? And how do you
I mean,
document
look, if
that?
it's
Do
if
you
it's
film
just
it?
zooming past it, yeah, if it's zooming past because it's on a destination to go somewhere, you know what? I don't really care. Let it do its thing, whatever. If it just sees me in passing, but once it stops and it starts focusing on me and it's there for more than 10 seconds, I'm going to have a problem with that.
Well, there you go. Okay, what's the length of time? What's the height? What's the altitude? Where does your right to your airspace above your home end? Where's that fine line, right? Now the Fox
I
News
say
piece,
that the good.
Go
Well,
ahead,
here's
go
the
ahead.
thing, Mark. I say even going up to the satellites orbiting space with Google Maps that's able to just do a little drop down onto my street and show everything about. I think that could be argued as a violation of privacy because I mean I know they're coming on my property, but if you have a satellite that can zoom into a golf ball in my backyard, that's kind of a problem with
When
me.
does the camera angle get to a certain position that it becomes intrusive to your privacy, right? At what altitude does that happen? Look at it as a little tube moving between the satellite camera and you. At what point along that way is it literally an infringement on your right to privacy? Now, that Fox News headline on this today, I think it popped up at around 4 a.m., Florida property owners pestered by spying drones could soon be allowed to fight back with force. The subhead is the bill aims to increase drone regulations throughout Florida. So what do you do? Do you shoot it down? Do you call law enforcement? It disappears. They think you're nuts, right? So we're talking about unmanned aircraft systems, UAS, while according to Fox, the bill primarily focuses on further regulating the use of unmanned aircraft systems while broadening the scope of locations that are protected from drone flights within the state, such as airports and correctional facilities. Now, I don't know enough about drones. I bought one time, thought it'd be kind of cool, and I think I wrecked it the first time I tried to get it back to my house. Okay? But do you have a record of it being shot down on your phone? Or is that record destroyed when the drone is destroyed? So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, where's the video feed go to, and do they have a recording?
Correct. That's my question. I'm going to assume that the recording is going somewhere. Somebody's going to see you shoot it down. And
Well,
then
it
when
depends
it
on what kind.
explodes
Look, I
in
mean,
the air, that video footage of you shooting it down is probably there somewhere, right? I mean, it could be.
yeah. Now, look, I mean, most of them I think attached to your phone. I have a drone. I got it for Christmas, I want to say, and I've used it a couple of times. It doesn't have the best camera on it, so which is really what I was going for. But nonetheless, I have it. It attaches right to my phone, and yeah, I can because it's through an app. So you can record through the app. So yes, if it gets shot down while it's
There's a
in the
recording
air,
of the
or if it
shooter.
goes off, it would be a recording of it on the app that's on my phone as I was watching it. So you would have the proof of that in some fashion.
That
I
would be
think
kind of
this-
cool, Greg, wouldn't it, to make your own attack drone that you could fly up at altitude with it and then
the
begin
N-
shooting at it, you know, and now
That's
you
what
got a
I'm
drone
saying.
war over your house, right?
The NSA is listening and taking notes. So is Ukraine. Of
course,
And
sure.
but no, I think this is stemming from an incident that happened in Florida last year sometime, or maybe the year before, where a guy shot a Walmart drone that was hovering in his yard. I think. Is that where this is coming from?
I don't know. Let me quote
30?
here. I know we got 30 seconds. Let me take this quote to the break. We'll come back and talk about it. I would include an image device if you were record an image of private property with the intent to conduct surveillance in violation of the person's reasonable expectation of privacy. If I'm at a park and I'm playing baseball with my kids, somebody takes up a drone just to show what's going on in the park, do I really have an expectation of privacy? But if my daughters are sunbathing in the pool behind my house, I have an expectation of privacy. If passed, the bill would allow homeowners to take matters into their own hands if a drone is spotted over their property, but does not specify what constitutes reasonable force, raising red flags. Don't you love these phrases? That could force a showdown between Florida law and the Federal Aviation Administration. Something tells me that Florida law would side with the. We'll talk about it when we come back from the break. Don't go away. Final segment. Cameras and mics are live.
This segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Daniel Defense. Visit DanielDefense.com. Now, back to the show.
Yes, back to the show indeed. Mark Walters filling your prescription. One more segment today in the here in the Sig Sauer studios in front of the Patriot Mobile Communication and Command Center microphone. Again, it's all being brought to you by the great X Insurance. X Insurance, make sure to check them out. You can reach them at armedamericanradio.com. And I mentioned Barrel Buddy, Ammo Squared, and others. Crossbreed holsters over there, North American Arms. Make sure to check out all of our great partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com, every single one of them, including mypillow.com, mypillow.com. Support Mike for supporting your right to keep and bear arms over all these years on Armed American Radio Daily Defense and on Armed American Radio's Monstercast. Again, you can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason. Greg and I were talking about this during the break. It's a fascinating conversation. You know, where does the property, so where can you shoot it? Here's my take. I believe Florida law is going to side with a homeowner here. I think deference would be shown to a homeowner here. But, you know, Greg was bringing up a great topic. Greg, you were talking about, you know, if it's an Amazon drone or something making a delivery, you would have notified. You would know it was coming.
You would know you selected that drone delivery, and I had mentioned that these aircraft should probably have some kind of markings on them so we know they're not unidentified flying objects.
Got to throw that in there. All right, Andy, we couldn't let that one go, could we? And I was unaware Greg was going to do that. Although I will tell you this, that's going to be a fairly sizable drone. That's going to be a commercial drone. Something with a fairly large wingspan that's bringing packages to and fro, right?
Yeah, probably an octocopter with about 4 or 5 feet of diameter. And
okay, it's not going to be something that you buy at a Best Buy or something at Amazon, you know. And yeah, like I said, I don't know. I mean, I had a little drone before, but the thing was fairly compact, right?
Right.
It wasn't going to be able to carry a package anywhere. In fact, I think the battery life on it was 30 minutes before it cagged out, and I think that's why I wrecked it. You know, because I was unaware of what I was doing with it. But you could have a lot of fun with this too. You weaponize the thing. You'd imagine the two drones getting into a little battle over your backyard. You know, these two shooting it out. Anyway, it really is a
Star Wars.
Yeah, a little miniature Star Wars over your backyard. But I mean, obviously, if you're at your house, you have more of an expectation of privacy than you do in the example that was used by Fox News. If I'm at a park playing baseball with my kids, there's a drone there, right? It's taking footage. You guys ever see the wavy boat guys down at the inlets, the rough inlets in Florida, that are filming the boats coming in and out all the time? Yeah, it's pretty wild to see. Some of the boaters do the stupidest things.
Yep.
And they're going out there in massive, there's that inlet, though, it's extremely rough at certain times of the day. And you see people on little 18-foot bow riders trying to make a go of it that get stuffed, and the drones are out there all the time. And every once in a while, they catch people throwing beer cans at them. The drones got video of that. Those people get arrested for littering, okay? So it's an interesting question. There's no doubt about it. But Florida using reasonable force without specifying what constitutes reasonable force. Well, you've got to be able to reach out and touch something that's flying above your house, which to me means projectile. And under the FAA, in a statement to Fox, guys, it is illegal under federal law to shoot at an aircraft. A private citizen shooting at an aircraft, including unmanned aircraft, poses a significant safety hazard. So, you got to be careful with this, guys.
Sounds like a good use for Berna.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Look, I mean, I'm a purist in this mindset, and it drives me nuts because my generation, there was a study, and I don't know if you remember this from, I want to say I was in college when I saw this. So this was back in 2008, 2009, when there was a study that said my generation, because of the conversation about the Patriot Act, metadata collection, so on and so forth, that my generation was okay with the government monitoring and surveilling my emails for a free pizza. Like, that's the level of what we were okay with the government taking our data, because if we have nothing to hide, then we shouldn't have to hide anything, and we're totally fine with the government watching everything that we do.
Okay.
And that has snowballed to my generation now. Like I said, if you have a phone, if you have a smart vehicle, if you have a smart refrigerator telling you you're out of asparagus, everything is listening and watching you right now, and it bugs me. I want to get back to pure privacy again, to where I should be able to shut my door or be on my property and no one know exactly what I'm doing whatsoever at any time. Not that I'm doing anything bad or wrong, but it doesn't matter. You don't need to know, and that includes the government.
If, you know, some of your operative words there, if I have nothing to hide, you know, this goes back to clearly Fourth Amendment issues, right? Cops pull people over.
Yeah.
We have a lot of problems with drugs on this corridor of I-75 or I-95 or I-40 or whatever it may be, or the 5 or 105, whatever it is. You mind if I have a look in your car? Do you have anything I need to know about in your car? No, I do not. I've just answered your question as a law-abiding person. You've asked me if I have anything illegal. I've just told you no.
And I don't consent to searches.
Correct. Well, if you don't mind, if you have nothing to hide, you wouldn't mind if I take a look. See, that's a typical catchphrase, right? If you don't have anything to hide, you don't mind if I take a look. Yes, I do mind. Why would you mind if you don't have anything to hide? Because I don't give up my constitutional rights to you.
Right.
As an officer of the state. So we'll sit here all day, because then comes the next threat, right? Well, I'll bring a dog out. Go ahead, bring the dog out. Are you detaining me? Now it becomes a big issue, right? They have a right to bring a dog. Supreme Court has already found walking a dog around your car is no big deal. So what happens? Do you have any recourse whatsoever? Now you've been sitting on the side of the road for 2 hours because you're somewhere out there where it took 2 hours for a dog to get there. And the dog doesn't alert to anything.
Well,
any recompense? You know, this is a sketchy issue. It always has been a sketchy issue. Guys, before we go to the break, Andy, you're aware that Kristi Noem's purse was stolen with $3,000 in it in a D.C. restaurant yesterday?
I heard about that. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Man, so, you know, I don't know. It's just me.
How's that crime rate going in D.C.?
Well, you know, you also had 6 people on a stabbing spree. We're not going to have time to get to that. I wanted to get to that today and make a comparison here. Is there a comparison between her purse being stolen and some? Yeah, because it's a crime issue all the way around. Violent crime, non-violent crime. Well, is somebody coming in and stealing my purse a violent crime? What if I have something in the purse that is it a violent crime? Could it be considered a violent crime if there were something in the purse that I could use to stoke violence against you? Like if you were off-body carrying, something like that. Does that become a violent crime? All right, so there's a lot of questions about this. You would think somebody would know it was Kristi Noem. But here's my point. It doesn't matter to these people. They don't care.
Right.
Guys like us are plugged in because we watch this stuff all day long. How many other people know it's Kristi Noem?
Right.
You just sit in a restaurant with their kids. Anyway, the bag had $3,000 in it, as well as personal documents. So I haven't gotten to the comments yet, but I guarantee there's going to be a boneheaded comment that says, well, what are you doing walking around with $3,000? My question to you is, what frickin' business is it of yours?
Right.
That doesn't give somebody the right to take my bag, period. And you can't blame me. Nobody knows I have $3,000 in it. They know it now because I told you it was in it because somebody stole it. Also had her passport, keys, driver's license, DHS badge.
30.
So whoever ripped this off went, ruh-roh. Or did they?
Yeah.
Maybe they thought, guys, look whose purse I got away with today, and thought it was cool. Well, if anybody wants to know, she had withdrawn the money because she had a lot of family in town, and she was using cash to pay for gifts, lunches, dinners, activities with the family, Easter gifts. She was treating the family to it. So, you know, she's on taxpayer dime, so your taxpayer dollars were treating her family to a big meal, and somebody who doesn't pay taxes, more than likely, ripped her off. Wow, crazy stuff. Andy Hoosier, the voice of reason, please tell people where they can watch you and listen to you coming up in about 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, you betcha. HoosierReason.com. Go and check out the website, all the list of great affiliates that I have as we continue to grow. But, Mark, it's always fun for a Monday. It's a great way to kick off the whole week. Hope everybody had a great Easter weekend, and we'll be back at it again real soon.
Yeah, you're going to be back at it again in just a few minutes. Andy Hoosier will be back again next Monday with us, no doubt. You never know. He might make an appearance during the week. We have a big week coming up. NRA convention coming up this weekend. I'll be there Friday, Saturday. Live broadcast coming up on Sunday. Of course, we've got the Armed American Radio Daily Defense Show from 4 to 5 each day Eastern Time, 1 to 2 Pacific. You can watch us on all the social media deals. Facebook should be back up tomorrow without any problems. So until we meet on the radio tomorrow, remember, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. See you on the radio.
You've just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by X Insurance. X Insurance on the Armed American